Hey guys, welcome to your Moon in Libra reading. We're going to be taking a look at the energies that are going on for the collective, right? The energies that are occurring for the collective at this time as the moon is transiting the constellation of Libra. That being said, you know that you don't have to be watching this video at the time that it's made, and you don't have to have any significant placements, natal placements in your natal chart. As long as this video has manifested before you and you decide to watch it, then there are messages here for you. If something doesn't ring true for you or it doesn't resonate in the moment, I would invite you to back pocket it so that you can allow the energies to unfold a little bit more. And also feel free to, literally free, right? Call upon your higher self to help you to put these things into perspective so that your conscious mind can kind of make 2 cents of it. I have to do the same thing, and I always rewatch these videos myself because the messages that are coming in are for me too. Yay! So without further ado, I'm going to kind of get into the zone. Oh yeah, and if you'd like to work with me more personally, feel free to reach out to me. All of my information is there and on this beautiful card and on whatever platform that you're watching. All right, so the first thing that I want to say is, energetically speaking, what I'm getting in this collective, it's almost like it's not exactly a block or a wall, and it's not exactly stagnation, and it's not exactly mutedness, right? It just is. This is an example of when I'm receiving an energy and a concept that is a little bit difficult to translate into the English language and the English and the cultural framework that I'm working within, right? That is going on here. So translating what can't be translated sometimes. So I just put those together and maybe just see if you can feel that on some level and experience what that is. But I'm standing here and I'm like, what is this energy? And as I'm trying to pull the messages through, it kind of gives me this feeling, because I'm also in your field, and that's one of the things that I do. I become you, the person that I'm working with. I literally become you, and I drop into your field and I communicate back to you what it is that I'm feeling. And so this feeling that I'm feeling, it feels a little bit like being suspended in a very viscous kind of fluid, right? And it's like not necessarily free to move, but not stuck, but just there. And when you shift, things shift like this. And when you shift like this shifts. That makes no sense to you, but I'm just explaining it, and maybe some of you will be able to relate to that. But what I'm getting is, Spirit is saying the reason why, so now I'm going to translate it a little bit more. If you're experiencing a sense of stagnation along a spectrum, that's going to feel different, as you can see, and be experienced differently depending on who you are. But if you're feeling a sense of stagnation, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling suspended, you're feeling like, I can't move, Spirit is saying that the way to approach that is to do this. Let go. And that's interesting because it kind of gives me this idea of quicksand, but I don't exactly want to relate it to quicksand because the principle is similar, but it's not the same. With quicksand, so I've heard, I've never experienced it. When you're stuck in quicksand, of course you've got this feeling that you're sinking, and so you want to flail around, but the flailing around makes you sink faster. And so sometimes the best thing that you can do is kind of just stay still and scream your lungs off, and hopefully a passing armadillo or something that can respond to you who will get help and find a stick or something, right? And so there's a similarity in the sinking movement and how flailing around just doesn't help you. But the difference here is that when you let go and you release the tension, this is about tension release. When you release the tension, what you actually end up doing is you create the conditions energetically for you to think and to receive. So imagine if you have your veins, and of course your veins are moving autonomically. You can't really do anything about that. That's up to your heart and the conduction system and all of the pumping of the blood to go to and fro to help you with that. But let's pretend for a second that you can constrict your veins, right? Or your arteries, or your capillaries, You can constrict it and limit the blood flow. And if you constrict it, what's happening is the blood flow starts to get limited, right? So what you want to do is open up and let go and release. Now things can flow. That's the energy that I'm feeling for you when I see collectively in your body. Now let's explore a little bit more. I'm getting a few details because that's the energy dynamic. But when we start to come a little bit lower down to this plane and we start to get the details as they manifest individually for you guys, one of the storylines and one of the energies and details that I'm getting is, for some of you, this has to do with a connection with your mom or mom related energy. It's almost like when you get around this type of energy, or if you're having thoughts about this kind of energy or whatnot, you constrict, right? So we want to take and this is just one example, but we want to take a look at the energy field. What are we doing when what are our thoughts? What are our feelings? What are our emotions? All of this, what are our beliefs? Because they serve to either constrict the flow of energy or to allow the flow of energy. And so for someone else, I'm getting the details of something related to a car. So maybe some type of car sale or some type of dealing with a car. So just to give you an idea, and that just took so long just to explain that, but just to show you, if you watch my videos on a regular, the energy is, the information is just coming. And that's because there's flow in the field. But just to show you how I'm just like, it's because there's this viscosity that's happening. Now, another thing that the guides are saying is that whenever we have some type of stuckness or stagnation or constriction or restriction to the flow, like we were just talking about, it's usually an indication that somewhere along the way there is confusion, fusion, right? There are polar opposites going on. There's a lot of contrast. And there is, guess what? A decision that needs to be made along the way. And so the best way to make decisions is to release the flow and the tension. So here's your takeaway point, because I really want to make sure that I leave you with some practical tools moving forward to really integrate what it is that is coming in, the information that's coming in, how you can integrate that and make use of it in your physical life. So the practical thing for you to do, if this resonates with you, is to find a way to get into a state of relaxation. And I don't mean like, wow, I get to sleep an extra hour tonight. No, I don't mean, oh, let's have a cup of tea. You know me, I'm always here for a cup of tea, right? But I don't mean that. I mean, how can I introduce the practice, the art, the concept, the orientation towards, right, of relaxation into my life? This is not about getting a glass of water. This is about hydrating yourself on the regular. For example, this is not about it's not about cooking some fish. It's about learning how to catch fish and how to work with the fish. So this is about integration. This brings us back to what a lot of us have been going through and will be going through for the next few weeks, as we've already mentioned on this channel, because we like to watch the energetic downloads and stuff. So we're a lot of us right now are still integrating energies. So as you know, when energies come into the field, what they do is they kick up any lower frequency energies, because somebody's got to go, right? If you have higher frequency energies in your field, the lower ones, there's going to be some tug of war until you release something. And on top of that, when the higher frequencies start to really dominate the space more, the lower frequencies cannot stay here anymore. It just becomes too uncomfortable. It's incompatible. Imagine opening a door and some light goes into a dark room. Guess what? You don't have some shadow just like, hey, I'm staying. Like, what is that? If we do see that, then we know that what we're looking at is some type of specter and it's something else going on. And that's another situation altogether. But I'm just letting you know that a part of this tension that's being created and being experienced right now has to do with the energy frequencies playing with each other during the integration process. So what I'm getting as well for some of you is, again, I always say it and I'm feeling it again, look to the feet, all you feet people out there, this is your time. I don't know if that works for your own feet, but look to the feet, because as I'm talking to you about this stuff, I'm feeling about mid calves all the way down to the feet stuck energy. stuck energy. Now, if I may give you a tool that I use whenever I have a shower, what I like to do is I make sure, of course, we're all washing everywhere, but you'd be surprised how many people don't actually wash their legs and their feet. They're like, and when I say wash, I mean take that rag and get in there, like get down there. Look, you do you, but I'm just saying do that. And the reason why I'm telling you to really get into the habit of running your hands and some soap and water, dear God, and a washcloth or something down your legs and, ankles, your knees, feet, in between the toes, because, hey, hello, okay? Especially some of you who are booed up or trying to be out there with people, like, come on, have some decency. Love you. But anyway, the reason why I tell you to do that is because that is a very important practice if you're trying to tune into the energies in your field. So for example, I can't remember what it was this morning, but for example, when I go and I wash my left foot, for example, I make sure that I feel my feet. It takes me like 30 seconds because the minute I touch my feet, remember we have chakra openings here, the larger chakra openings. We have chakra openings all over the body, but major ones here. And so when I touch my feet, I can feel what's happening. So for example, and I can't remember what was going on in the left foot this morning or the right foot, but for example, I'll be like, oh, okay, I need to drink more water, or oh, the energy is leaking here, or oh, I've got some stubborn energy in the left foot there, or oh, today the left foot feels excited. Oh, it's not the feet, it's the energy that is pocketing itself there. A lot of times people push their energies down to their feet, especially if they don't want to think about things. They put it off to an extremity, right? So, and also on top of that, you want to make sure that you're flushing your energy system, your energy field every day. So energies that are in your field, okay, thank you for coming. I had a great day at work today too, but now it's time to flush my field out and just see that all of the energies that do not belong to you leaving your energetic space, being transmuted by your guides. Yes, you can call in your angels. They love this and they're great at it, right? Of course, you can do it as well, but if you're still like, how do I do it? Call in your angels and guides and envision these energies leaving. What you do want to do is call back your own energy from across time and space, heal it and transmute it, and you want to make sure that you are keeping your own energies in as you flush these energies. If you do that simple exercise, you'll see a quick change even as you're in the shower. Then I'd move over, continuing the story, I'd move over to the right foot and I would rub it and I'd see what's going on. And I'd be like, oh, okay, the right foot's pretty curious today. Oh, or the right foot has questions about what I was studying yesterday. So these energies are in your field, and so you can readily feel into that. So if you're like, but Jay, when I touch my feet, all I feel is skin. Congratulations. Your nerve endings are working. Phew, right? Right. We get it. You're going to feel skin, but that's your moment to, again, ask your higher self, your guides, to get into the practice and to understand how to, embody the ability to feel things. Because what you're trying to do now, if you're following this channel, I've noticed a shift in what's coming in terms of how we're teaching and what we're talking about. We're going to be talking a lot about how to integrate this higher consciousness of, multidimensional energy stuff and information flow into the very practical physical, to the point that you're going to be able to pick this up and get information from it. You're going to be able to look at your hand and realize, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, something about my middle finger tells me that it's time for me to beef up on my fiber or something like that. I know that was weird that I said beef up on fiber, but you get my point. It's time for me to change my diet. This is how you naturally work when you are expanded, because you're more than your physical body, right? I'm not going to spend too much time in this video talking about this, because I'm going to revisit it later. But just know that when you're stuck in third dimensional consciousness and perspective, you're out here with length, width, height, right? And some time. Okay, great. So you can perceive of things, you can see things, and yeah, that's great. But when you open yourself up to multi-dimensional perspectives, you're perceiving of more than that. And time doesn't mean the same thing that it may mean to you in the third dimensional perspective, right? There is just more. And then the other dimensions, there's just more. And that's why it's very important to remember that expansion is not about making you feel uncomfortable. It's literally about taking your eye, your vision, from this pinhole where you're just seeing third dimension, and then realizing, oh, I'm not just seeing, what is that? I thought that was, I don't know what it was, but we're going to learn all about it, and we're going to fashion our entire world about it. People are going to market to us about it, blah, blah, blah. But when you start to improve your own vision, look what's happening. You're starting to perceive of more, and you're like, holy crap. And all of a sudden, you're now able to perceive that something is moving like that and hitting here and creating something for you. Whereas before, when you were just in this 3D image, you were just receiving, like your hand was like this. Your hand was being moved, but you weren't seeing that because you couldn't. You're only seeing this. But when you start to improve your vision, you get clairvoyance and all of that, now you can see there are other things at play. Length, width, time, a lot of distance. People don't really know from in a physics standpoint what the other dimensions are, if they're even existing. That's why we call them theoretical physicists. And we're trying to understand what's happening from a physical dimension perspective, to the point that we're trying to piece together the presence of something by noticing things that are happening elsewhere, but for which we have no cause. If we're seeing things happen and we can't think of a rule, we're like, oh, something else must be happening. And so once you broaden your perspective, you will start to see, oh, this is what's happening. And so what we're trying to do, and I promise I will make sure I explain that a little better in the future, what we're trying to do and we'll be trying to do over the next coming seasons, the guides are saying, okay, seasons, sure. The next coming seasons are going to help to expand your consciousness and your awareness, and to help you to stop thinking that just because you're seeing something in the physical or not seeing something in the physical, that's all there is. And we're going to help you to move into a state of consciousness where you can let go of the learning that you have learned, because a lot of the learning is based on a 3D perspective. But the 3D perspective is very temporary, because that's all you can see until you can see more. All right? And so for right now, let's work on releasing. Let's work on reminding ourselves of our sovereignty. And as the guides have told us many times, there are so many things that we can think are right and wrong and this and that. And they look real and they feel real and they look right and they whatever. But when you zoom out and you look at it multidimensionally, you'll see that some things are not real because they don't go all the way up into the higher dimensions. They may stop at one dimension. They don't go all the way up. They don't translate. And so that's why when we hear the saying, only love is real, that is a frequency. And they say only love is real because it is everything. There are certain things that are not everything, they're false, but they look real on this planet. And so when the guides teach us that the key to the new age, which is another principle they're going to be bringing through, oh my gosh, so much to do and so much we're working on that. Anyway, we're doing our best over here. I'm doing my best because it's me. Anyway, one of the principles they're talking about is that's why it's important. The new age, the key to the new age is going to be through the heart chakra. It's about learning how to activate the heart chakra so that you can get into the divine heart, because that is going to literally be your bridge. And we're talking energy stuff. This isn't hunky-dory. This isn't the devil. This isn't the blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff is it's energy stuff. The heart chakra is literally going to not only connect these upper and lower chakras for you, it's going to allow you to slip into a different consciousness where you can start to perceive of these energetic frequencies. You're going to be able to look at the back of a card and tell someone's story, or just, we don't need the cards, obviously, right? And there are things that you're going to be able to do that you were not able to do before, because you're accessing a different approach that is outside of 3D consciousness. And some of you are already doing these things, right? But anyway, so wherever you are, we're going to be moving in that direction. So anyway, I don't know that we had to talk about that. I'm just going to let it go. My Virgo mind is like, can we get a narrative here? But it is what it is. And once I press play on these videos, I'm actually in a bit of a trance, even though it sounds like me and everything. So just so Spirit does not mince words in these videos. It is just what it is for whoever it's for. All right. Anything else? Oh, there's a lot. But anyway. And I don't know, the Game of Thrones cards wanted to work with us today. That's so funny because I pulled this card out and I saw Knight of Spears, which is the Knight of Wands. But the minute I saw it, I immediately thought, oh my God, Six of Wands. So Six of Wands denotes victory, right? And here we have this Knight of Wands coming in and it looks victorious. And it's like, I was going to say, but where are his people? Because usually he's being flanked by people. If it's a Six of Wands, there are other people coming and like, yeah, great job. And in fact, I see these shadow features here. So what the guides are trying to communicate here is that there are a few things. Number one, they're saying wherever you are right now, you can think of it as an interim period. Because the way that we like our mind needs to process things is in a linear fashion, is with beginning and ending. And so therefore we like to think of cycles as things opening and closing, and when we finally sit down in our chair and we breathe out, we're like, whoo, I'm done. But how do we know that we're not actually just at the beginning of some larger cycle and some larger pattern that we cannot even perceive of? So Spirit is saying one of the ways that you can unravel your 3D thinking is to release yourself from this idea that you need to have, not to say a goal, but that you have to have some type of terminal goal that gosh, and as I'm saying that, the words and the energies are unraveling already. Just the concept is unraveling. They're trying to move us into this state of more openness. So, because let's look at it. If we say, I'm going to set a goal, right? I'm going to set a goal. Immediately, we're going to have, and I mean immediately, if you are like any other human being, myself included, and you're coming from a 3D perspective, you set a goal, immediately you have an idea of what that looks like. You have an idea of where it's going to go, and many times we have an idea of how it's going to go down, and we have an idea of how to track the timing, we have when it's going to begin and when it's going to signal to us that it's over, and who's going to be involved. So you see, one concept, goal, is almost like it brings along, like those cars that when someone gets married, there are cans in the back, like just married and all these cans. It brings along all of these trappings. So that's kind of like a little bit of a spiritual bomb, they're saying. So here it is that you're hyper focusing on something and we call it a goal, and it kind of becomes a goal because it contains all of these other elements, the who, what, where, when, why, and the signal for when it's done and this and that. But what that does to us, and that's fine, do you, right? But what that does for us is that we emotionally connect to that construct, that structure that we're making, because we're talking in terms of energy, right? So you're making a construct. You're structuring some type of something out of your belief. What you believe, what you will becomes. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you're a creator being. So if you set a goal, you have just created something. You've made something. But if you really would like to operate from a healthy standpoint, you understand that when you do this, you bring this along. And you must do your best to keep whatever other elements you're automatically calling into being, like the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, the how, to a healthy standard, because you are also attaching emotions to it. And emotions, we understand that can be a very slippery slope, and that can lead to people, well, for some people, even jumping off cliffs and ending their lives, right? Or hurting other people, blaming themselves, and, getting into unhealthy patterns, and the guides are saying diseases, 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 right? Because we're dealing with our thoughts, and thoughts are things. We live in a physical world, and one of the properties of this physical plane is that what you believe becomes physical. And that's the thing. So we lost contact with that, and we've lost contact with the memory and I'm trying to think of the word, the memory and the reality that we, on some level of the field, it may be too high for you to perceive of at this moment, but you are the agent that is creating the reality that you're in. And so when we talk about bringing the heart space in, bringing in self-compassion, practicing compassion, practicing kindness, practicing empathy, getting that golden rule, what we're actually doing is we're introducing an element that can help you to kind of remain immune from the harsher effects of the things that you're making. Here's a very, very practical example of that dynamic that I tried to explain, and I probably lost some of you, or maybe not, all right. Let's say someone says, okay, I want to buy this, or I want to get a new car by the end of the summer. And now they're setting a goal. Oh no, let's change it. I want to get a new job. They're setting a goal. Immediately they've set a goal. That means that they have hyper-focused from an energetic standpoint. They have hyper-focused so much that now they've made decisions on different levels of the field. And it's so strong that now it manifests into their physical as them having this thought and deciding, this feels right, this looks good. Because by the time it hits your conscious mind, it's already been put in motion from another perspective and from another level of your field, right? So let's say you have this goal and you want to, get a new job by the end of the summer. So all of a sudden, what does a job mean to you in the society that you're in and your conditioning? You're adding more ideas and identities onto there, and there are many, many slippery slopes there to make it mean something about you. So if you can't get a certain type of job, what does that mean about you? What is your family going to think? What are you going to be able to survive? And then that triggers your poverty consciousness and any energies that you have in your past life that's still in your field that you haven't healed, relating to your ability to survive. So you see, it's poking all of these things just because you said, I would like to have a car, I'd like to change cars. Now everything else is lighting up in your field, and you are literally, because you're a creator being, from a non-physical standpoint, you are calling all of these energies into being, and you're activating potential timelines that through your attention to it, your emotions around these things, you're calling these timelines into physicality. So you may not know you had many options for this time, this now moment, but whatever you believe to be true at your core level, however you've been conditioned, what your past lives have been doing for you, and your conscious mind choices, all of it led to you being in this moment, watching this video at this time. But that doesn't mean that there are not multiple other potential realities that you could have been doing at this moment if something else had changed. So you see, let's say that you have activated all of these energies and called into solidification potentials, and now you're starting to manifest things. Why? Because you want to get a new job. And you have emotion attached to it now. Even though we're like, I'm not really going to attach to it, I'm just going to do whatever. That's a lie. Do your best. But, you have core beliefs that are at work. Now, why they say that the heart is going to liberate us, compassion is going to liberate us, generosity and kindness and the virtues are going to liberate us, is because eventually you're going to bump up against conflicting, conditioned ideas and beliefs as you try to pursue this goal. Like, I wanted to get a job at, I don't know, where do people want to work? I guess Goldman Sachs or something. I want to work at Goldman Sachs. And then you start to get the rejection letters, and it starts to mean something about you, and now you're being triggered, and now your friends know that you got, overlooked for this position and all of this. You're feeling like a loser unless, and the spiraling goes, unless you have it within you to tap into your heart, take a time out, get centered, tap into your heart, practice the self-love. Practice the self-love. The compassion. Of course I feel sad. Of course I feel rejected because this was something I really wanted. And of course I wanted it because I live in a society that values this kind of job and values whatever this kind of job can get. And of course I want those things because that's how I've grown up. And of course I grew up this way because this is where I belong. This is the society I'm in. And of course my society has blah, 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 right? You have to find a way to pull yourself out of that depression, that those locked in feelings that have boxed in around you. Why? Simply because you set a goal. You wanted to get a new car. And by setting that goal, you have activated all sorts of beliefs, thoughts, energetic stuff, all of this, that you are just going to, if you're not careful, fall victim to feeling crappy about yourself, maybe lashing out at others, maybe becoming a braggart, maybe whatever it is. So that's why when we stop ourselves and we practice the virtues like gratitude, kindness to others and self, the golden rule, compassion, empathy, self-care, hydration, things like that, that literally keeps us safe from these constructs. Because these constructs aren't real. These are all conditioned ideas, and we get tossed through and fro. I can never to and fro. What are they? We get tossed around by these things that we have created for ourselves because we said we wanted them, and we're like out here playing with these ideas and wanting things and this and that and boxing ourselves in and not giving ourselves the freedom that can come only from cultivating the heart. Oh well, I didn't get this job. That's all right. Maybe there's something better for me, and that's a liberation. Okay, and what goes into that moment is understanding. And when you're a real G, which I'm not, I'm still working at this, but when you're a real G, you realize this rejection has nothing to do with me as a person. It really doesn't. It really has nothing to do with me as a person. It's not reflective of my intrinsic value. And in fact, if it's not looking for me, then chances are I shouldn't be looking for it, because maybe my vision is so limited that I can't see how this rejection is actually protecting me, right? I hope that makes sense. Wow, the energy flow of this whole video is annoying me a bit, but it's okay because we're here. My guides are like, get it together. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so this is just the way that it's flowing right now. So we'll work with it because it probably makes sense to those of you who it's for this time around. And so long story short, what the guides were saying is be mindful when you are having your victories, when you are going through cycles in your life. Remember that you want to try and disconnect from the constructs that you've made, one of which is, oh, this is the beginning, this is the end. Oh, this is going well, this is not going well. All of those things are constructs that you use to either push yourself forward or to block yourself in. And the way to really liberate yourself from these constructs that you've made is to get back into the heart space, right? So cultivating the divine heart, and you do that through practicing the virtues towards yourself and towards other people, of course. Queen of Coins. Wow, as I see this, she looks like completely shielded up. All right, let's talk about that. Shielding. So funny. Oh, God. Okay. Let's talk about shielding. So first of all, it's very, very, very important to shield your energy field. Now, a lot of you may be like, whatever, Jay, this is mumbo jumbo, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. If you know, you know. This makes no sense to me. Let's put it this way. Let's work from the bottom up. You are a cute little physical being, right? You see your being, you see it. It's called skin. Boop, boop. Right? You've got flesh, you've got bones, you've got a physical body. But the beautiful thing about your physical body is that, wow, your insides are not leaking out onto the floor all over the place. Your heart's not dropping into your stomach. My God, my neck isn't craning down past my shoulders. How come? Well, that's because you've got tissues. In other words, skin, tissue. Skin, your external skin is just, one of the tissues that we have here. What skin does and what tissues do in your body is that it creates order. It keeps the heart in the upper chambers, right? It keeps your organs inside of your body. It protects you from the external world. So this is a membrane, if we want to think of it that way, that allows for separation of the internal from the external in the physical world. And that's why we love our largest organ of the body, the skin. Yay! Now, why would you think that it would be any different when we get into the non-physical? We understand the principle as above, so below, as within, so without. This one's looking at as above, so below. Why? Because the physical body is the last body. We see it, but that's from a 3D perspective. The 3D perspective uses our eyeballs and we see this. But if you expanded your vision and got into your other kinds of sight, what are you starting to see? You're starting to see body upon body upon body. You have multiple levels of energetic bodies that make up your auric field, right? And it's pretty wide in diameter. You'd be surprised. But by the time we have issues in this body, it's already happening at different levels of your energy field. So we know we already have at least, let's say, at least 7 different levels of the body, but we have more. We have higher things going on. But the problem is not that it doesn't exist. The problem is that our perspective is limited from the 3D, right? And when you hone your abilities to perceive of these subtle bodies, they're not physical, but these subtle bodies, plural, using different senses, because your physical eyes cannot see it. Your dog can see it, but you can't see it. You see what I mean? So you have to switch into another mode. And when you do that, you start to see more. And suddenly you're going to see, oh my God, I've got a hand. Oh my God, I've got another hand. It's the same, but it's like a little bit more. Oh my God, there's another replica of my hand. Oh my God, there's another replica. That's what it is. It's ding, 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 ding. It's multi-dimensions. And so that's why we call you a multi-dimensional body. You have multi-dimensional bodies. And we have to place the importance in the order that it is. The physical body is important, yes, but it's only a carbon copy of what is already happening in the higher fields. It's literally a carbon copy of your etheric body. Cells, your organs, everything that you see here is there, right? Here, your etheric body, all of that is what's directing your genetics, your cells, your everything here, down to the hair that's growing on you. So you have to understand, when we're just working at the physical level, you're really on some level just alleviating symptoms. This hurts, let's cut it off. Okay, but it's the problem's still there, and an energy reader will see that. So guess what? What's coming back next lifetime until you clear that stuff that's there? And by the way, the stuff underneath there is just some beliefs that need to be cleared up. So when we heal, we're only healing perceptions, which are misperceptions, beliefs that are fear-based. That's all. That's what healing is. We're shifting consciousness. And as you shift your consciousness, it, guess what, manifests in the physical, because that's just how energy rolls. So that being said, we've got these bodies that we need to attend to. And we know how to protect our physical body. If you're cold, you put on something warm. If you're going to war, you put on some armor. Bloop. Yeah, no, I won't get hurt from that sword because my sleeve's going to stop it, right? We do that. But how do you protect the energetic field? Because a lot of people are just walking around, myself included, I need to be better, but walking around being affected by energy. Energy is contagious. It's contagious. And we know that. If somebody's laughing, oh my God, we want to laugh too, giggles. If someone's sad, oh my gosh, looking at them makes me sad. And now it's triggering things in me. I walk into a room where there was an argument. I'm feeling kind of, icky. What's happening? Right? So this is what I mean. And so what you have to do is to learn to shield. And so one of the things the guides are saying is shielding is a necessary aspect to taking care of the energy bodies, right? And so first thing that you're going to do is clear your energy field. Especially if you work with a lot of people, you clear your energy field. If you're binge watching things, if you're going different places, if you're drinking, if you're doing all sorts of stuff, clearing your energy field every day is important. It's super simple. It's free. It literally looks like this. Okay, I'm going to clear all of the energies, any energies that do not belong to me, any and all forms of psychic attack, anything that is occurring that is adverse to my health. You can make up the words however you want, on all levels of my field, in all directions of time. I release now. You can ask for it to be healed and transmuted. I like to ask for these energies to be healed, transmuted, and returned to their rightful owner. Right? Because a lot of times people are carrying our energy and we're carrying theirs. Returned. And you can just go, and I'll do a short video about this later for you guys. So don't worry if you miss it in this time, or we have to hurry because it's just an hour, right? So you can envision yourself being wrapped up in a beautiful bubble of light. And I like to vacuum my energy field. So I'll be like, I imagine just a field being vacuumed. And you might be like, does this work? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I invite you to envision it and do it, because you don't realize it works because it must, because you say so. That's the thing. And so much so that I'll drink coffee in the morning. And then when I do my shield, because I go walking and I drink my coffee, and then I shield up and I do my clearing first. You clear first. And I kid you not, as I'm clearing, it always happens that I feel the energy of the coffee lift out of my body. And because I can perceive of that movement and it's moving, I can be like, oh, that's different. Because when I was drinking it, it was just kind of settling there. I'm not perceiving of it being there. But when I do my clearing and I command my space to be cleared, it leaves, and then I can perceive of it. And when I perceive of it, it feels almost like not as dense as mud, but it's like mud. And it gives me like a brown, kind of like a tannish brown look. It has to it, and it just lifts off, and I feel lighter when it lifts off. So just to let you know what we consume and and that doesn't mean just food, it means, and we know this, but it means things you're watching, people you're hanging around, places you're going. These things are always influencing us. Anyway, so you clear all the energies out that don't belong to you, and then you call back your energy across time and space. And it'll come back. You'll know, because you'll start to like have memories, or you'll remember something. And just as when you're releasing energies, things are coming up. Like, oh, that show I binge watched last night. It's coming before bed. It's coming back into my conscious mind. Actually, it's just on its way out because you're clearing your energy. But it was hanging out in your field. It was hanging out in your field and affecting and influencing you, and you weren't aware. But it'll cross your mind as it's coming out, and that's why you'll remember it. So just so you know, clear, call back your energy, and then you want to shield yourself. And you can make your shield be anything. You could have fun with it. But as you bubble up or hypercube yourself, or just whatever structure you like to use, sometimes I use mirrors around me if I kind of just don't want to be seen, but I want people to leave me alone. Just remember, though, that you're such a good shielder. So if you try to do an invisibility shield to mute your presence anywhere, it's going to happen. And so just think, if I'm doing this, what would the repercussions be here? It's simple. You better pay more attention when you're walking. For example, if you're going to cross the street and you're in the middle of the crosswalk, you think this car that's hurtling down sees you, it might not see you. The reason why is because when you shield up, what you're doing is you're literally muting your energy. You're removing yourself, especially if you're doing an invisibility one, you're removing yourself from the presence of certain people, especially if they're at a low vibration. They're not going to be able to perceive of you. You come left and they just happen to look right at that moment. You are about to walk into the store, and then you walk in the store. They were about to come out, but they stop to tie their laces. They look down. They don't even see you walk in. This is that kind of energy. When you master these kinds of techniques, this is how you can navigate this planet. a lot better, right? And so it's just energy management. So once you clear your energy field, you call back your own energy, and then you shield yourself, giving yourself whatever properties you would like. And I'll give you an example of what I do for myself. Please make sure that you make it be one of your properties that you program your shield to allow, 44 minutes, 44 seconds. I just looked down. You see, I'm not talking craziness here. Make sure that you program it that love and high vibrational frequencies come and go freely. Because the whole point of shielding yourself is to stop lower vibrations from getting in. So when you clear yourself, you're raising your vibration. When you're calling your energies back and clearing those, you're raising your vibration. When you shield, now you are vibing at a certain place, and you've got this beautiful auric protection, this skin, so to speak, for yourself. You can make it reflective. You can program it to direct you. This is why we're actually vehicles. I'll do a video on that too in the future. I have so many things to give out. It's just time. Where's the time, right? You're a vehicle now. If you want to be directed towards abundance and prosperity, you're programming your shield, and you are maintaining your integrity in that way, and it becomes something that you navigate. So you imagine when you're in your heart space and you're keeping to the golden rule, and you're shielding and clearing and shielding throughout the day and every day. This is spiritual hygiene. Who can stop you? That's all I'm trying to ask. Who's stopping you? What's stopping you? Because as an energy reader, when I'm working with people, all we're doing is clearing, nipping, tucking, re-educating about certain things, this, that. And it's energy. So when you start to get a handle on how to handle your energy, your life changes. And if you think about it, the ways that you're trapped in your society and in society through conditioning, it all runs counter to what? The idea that you can control your own energy. Look, I'm not out here saying it's agenda, but I know, I'm just saying, I'm going to let it go. But my point is, it's very easy. It's very free. You clear, call back your energy, shield up, and program for love. Practice your virtues. Golden rule. If you forget everything in life, you remember the golden rule, because it includes the kindness and the empathy. It includes stopping to think, not only about yourself, but about others, not to put others over you, but not to put yourself over others. I mean, what more do you really need? When you do that, your energy field is womp, womp, womp. It's vibing. You're attracting top quality energies in people, places, things, situations, ideas. You want that job now? Yeah. Keep that practice up even for a week and see the changes. Then start attracting the job. Don't start with like, I got to get a job and I have to go get my resume, my cover letter. No one's hiring. Look at me. Look at my age. And I don't have to educate. You're already done. You're already done at that point, right? And so this is how we tank our energies very, very easily, instead of doing what is our birthright, which is to practice proper spiritual hygiene and to move forward with that. This is why she's sitting pretty as the Queen of Coins. It's the secret. And I'm not talking about the secret, the book, but you thought about the secret, the book, didn't you? The minute I said the secret, and that just goes to show you the power of conditioning. Okay? I say one thing, the secret, and boom, it's like the wedding with all the cans. All of a sudden, you've got all these ideas and constructs coming right into your reality because I said one thing. Okay? Going back to what the guides were saying over here, release your learning. So the new age is the age of Aquarius. Okay? Release whatever you came to your mind when I said new age. Release whatever came to your mind when I said age of Aquarius, because a lot of you already have thoughts. People have thoughts. These are constructs, and they're not thoughts that they came up with themselves. They didn't have a dream and wake up, and in the dream they heard a term that they'd never heard in their life. And then they woke up and they're like, wow, that was vivid. Let me go research and try to feel into that. And they didn't have that. They learned about it through other places. And so you see, now we're borrowing other people's stuff. So the age of Aquarius is about clearing all of that stuff and getting back to the one thing that matters. And what is the one thing that matters? It starts with an H and rhymes with Bart. Okay? It's the heart. And I'm not talking about, oh, your heart and oh, your heart. No, I'm talking about the energetic frequency, the power center that is within your energetic body and literally gives the energy and drives everything else in your body. When you have your heart activated, then guess what else you can have? Then you can cultivate divine mind, because the mind can be expanded. And not only is the mind expanded, but now the mind is thinking and seeing and experiencing the world through the heart, through love, through the lens of love. And that's going to create a whole different society altogether. And when you are doing that, you are automatically getting into divine intention. So divine heart, divine mind, divine will. Those are the three that we're going to be working together to cultivate in the times to come. And that's really the key to this new earth consciousness, because everyone wants to be part of the new earth, or what is that, and blah, 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 and what's the new age, and what's the 5D. And some people claim that they're already 5D living. I'm just saying, we don't even need to even get into all of that, because then that's getting into more form and more form. The takeaway is to keep it simple. Drop into the heart space, release your learning, drop into your heart space, feel into, from the heart, using the golden rule, what is the best course of action for you and for others. And a major component of that is learning to allow for constructs to fall away, and learning to allow for new approaches to come through. Okay? Anyway, so I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to release this video to you guys, and if it makes sense for you, yay. If it doesn't make sense for you, yay. All right, you can back pocket it, let it go, and I'm going to do my best. For me, oh, thanks. The guides were like, weren't you going to tell them the example shield you do? You see, they're out here. Okay, thanks, guys, because you know I forgot. Yes, I am going to tell you. Okay, let me do that now. So when I shield up, what I do, of course, I do the clearing and clear energies out, and I call back my own energies. Thank you. Then when I do my own shield, what I do is I always imagine, actually, let me just take you through my whole thing. So there are actually some 2 videos that I usually work with, but those are made by other people. So I can, if you're interested in what those are, you can drop a comment and I will post it or something. Just remind me in the comments so I'll know that, hey, one person wants to know, or 2 people, and I will put it for you, the 2 videos that I use. But when I do it for myself, what I do is I get quiet. So I pause whatever I'm doing, and I imagine myself being encapsulated like that, like this, in a massive crystal that of course is big enough to hold me, because I'm bigger than that, right? So I imagine myself, from my perspective, being encapsulated, entombed, whatever, by this huge, beautiful white crystal. It's big enough to have me, but small enough to just fit me snugly. And that, see my hands? Vibe so high. The vibration is so high that what happens is that it literally, see my throat starting to clear already. Me thinking about it and talking about it. This is what I'm saying. It's very powerful. We'll do it together. We're encapsulated, and it's vibing so high, and it's so bright, and it's almost like a whole bunch of white, bright light, whiter than the sun, because the sun has a yellow light, but whiter than the sun is just coming from somewhere inside of that structure, and it is just womp, womp. It's so bright that it literally clears my body. It unpops my ears, unpops my third eye. It washes inside. It actually gets, because the white light is now, it's kind of like a liquid, and then I start to imagine that I start to get washed in there. Like if I'm in this very sudsy washing machine and there are like Christ bubbles, Christ consciousness, not religious concept, but Christ consciousness bubbles just bubbling up around me like suds inside of this thing. So I'm now in this human crystalline washing machine just getting washed, and it's washing me on the molecular level, the subatomic level. All my photons are being lovingly taken care of on all levels of my field. This is not just about some levels. So also extending to the unknown dimensions and parts of my field that I can't even perceive of because I don't have any idea. I understand that it's being taken care of, and I'm feeling this energy washing in between my bones, inside my bones, through my cells, through my tissues, everywhere, through my throat, and it's just cleaning and clearing. And all of a sudden, like when I'm doing that, I'm feeling my ears pop, literally, because they get clear, and the back of my head may start to feel clear, and then I didn't realize that I was tense, and all of this is happening. And then as that's happening, I'm affirming that any energies that do not belong to me are being released now into the light of the Christ consciousness to be healed and transmuted, and of course sent back with love to their original owner, right? Any astral entity, psychic attack, earthbound spirits, negative spirits, fear-based thinking, thought forms, implants, all of it. Spirit knows what I'm talking about, and I don't have to sit there and list it all because it's just there. And the next thing I do is inside, while all this is happening and the energies are being released, I'm also calling back my own energies from across time and space, from people who are still holding on to it knowingly or unknowingly, from places that I may have left it, trauma, all of that. And it's getting healed and transmuted and reintegrated inside of my field in this crystal. And at the same time, I'm starting to activate my heart. So I command. I make it that my heart starts to open up and to generate. So I'm activating the heart space. And as I'm doing that, the light that is activating, it's not even doing like this. The crystal's doing like this, but the light, let me see if I can, the light that's activating is like this. It is a heartbeat. You see, there it is. Yeah, because I'm like tapping into what it feels like. It's like this. That's the feeling of this heart. And I just imagine that it expands to encompass my entire crystal, my entire field. My entire field is in this crystal. So if the field is a few feet in diameter, right, across my body, then this crystal is that large, as is the heart space, the energetic chakra that is my heart, that is expanding, and not only expanding left and right, but expanding up and down as well to encompass the whole field. So once that happens, I then start to program my field to have a shielding around it. So I start to shield it. And depending on what it is that I would like to do that day, so I'm not really doing too much with interfacing with too many people on the daily. Phew, right? It's so stressful when it happens for me. But I set my shields always. Shields, they said shields, yeah, because we're multi-dimensional shielding, not just one or two bodies, but multi-dimensional. We are shielding on all levels of the field in all directions of time. And when I do that, I program it that only love can come and go freely. Anything that is seeking, I always say this, seeking and or functioning to usurp my energy, or to get me confused, or to take me out of the seat of my power, is not allowed in this space, and it's going to be automatically sent out and just warded away. So you have to program your field. Sometimes if I'm going into a place that I really need extra shielding, I will make my shield that's sitting outside of my field, surrounding my field, I'll make it reflective. And the reason why is if it's loving and high vibe energies, I've already programmed for those energies to be able to come and go freely. And if that is also reflecting to people, they're going to love that. It's going to feel good. But what is that reflective surface is for really is for anything that is coming with a low vibe and is projecting it towards me, it's going to go right back to them. And I'm not into that. Anything sent to me, back to you, 3 by 3, all that. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I just send not because I wanted to hit somebody. I just don't want it here. As Martin says, listen, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That's the idea here. And it's not mean or anything. It's just keeping myself intact. What else? Yes. Okay, you know what? I will drop on YouTube, I will drop the links to the other videos that I use, because the guides are, 12, I'll tell it to you too here. You can easily find this online. So if I don't do this for myself, sometimes I do that, and then I also do this. What I do every day is, number one, I check out Steve Nobel, Steve, Steve Nobel's page, his channel on YouTube, and I look for the quadruple grid technique. He's got two of them. One is the quadruple grid technique, personal. So it's looking at the personal grids, and it's putting circular grids around you and spinning to spin things out of the field, right? It's good. And then he has another one, which is quadruple grid technique, but spatial, okay? SPATIAL, spatial. The third one that I like to use is 12D shielding. So as I said, if you want to put on a jacket, you're only covering your physical body. What about all the other bodies, right? You have different bodies at different levels and dimensions. So when we have a 12-dimensional shield, that's our way of creating shielding for ourselves on all levels, or at least up to the 12th dimension of our multi-dimensional bodies. Because I do want to say quickly that if you are living in a 2D plane, right, there's only this idea of length and width. There's no perception of height. There's no concept of height. There's nothing. But once you move into the third dimension, now we have the concept of height. So we have above and below. So if I'm moving in a way where I can access the second dimension from above, and steal something or do something to somebody who lives in a 2-dimension, I reach up here because they can't perceive of up here. There's no concept of height. So if I reach in and take something, boop, they're not going, it's going to be like a ghost to them. They're like, what's happening? They might be driven insane. Like how I turned around somewhere or whatever I'm able to do in this 2-dimension, see lines or something. And there's something that was here is gone. Yeah, because I took it. But they have no concept of me. Here I am, I'm a 3D thief, right? So when we think about the 4th dimensional beings, these astral entities, 5th dimension, 6th, yeah, if they're loving energies, they're not out here trying to mess with us and all of that. But those who are of a negative persuasion, they're out here. They're trying. They're doing what we can't even conceive that they're able to do. Yes, read your thoughts. Who knows? I'm just going to go ahead and say yes, that is something that I'm just going to let it go. This is not the video for this, but anyway. Can they reach inside your body and do things? Yeah, sure. Can they implant etheric implant? Yeah, they can. So what you're doing when you're doing these 12-dimensional shielding is that you are ensuring yourself, you are protecting yourself against things that you have no concept can be affecting you. And so this is why I make a lot of jokes in these videos, and I'm doing my best to get around my Mercury and Pisces narrative style. I'm sorry. But the seriousness of this is that if you are focused on, let's put it that way, reclaiming your sovereignty, you have to understand that that means educating yourself. And I don't mean getting your master's degrees and PhDs and certificates. I'm talking about understanding the limitations from the 3D perspective and understanding how a lot of the conditioning that you get from mainstream media is not real. It's actually counter to what it is that you should be doing if your goal is to get out of the enslavement and to focus on being what your natural birthright is. Your only problem is that you're here in the 3rd dimension, and so you are stuck with these ideas and these constructs and these things that have been fed to you. But for those who expand their vision, they work on that pineal, they get that pituitary, they do their meditations, they call upon their higher selves. The first step is even believing that these things are real. Those who can expand themselves in that way and let go of the conditioning that they've learned are in a better position to take sovereignty. And then when you reclaim your sovereignty, you start to understand, I'm not the only one out here. And you see how that gives rise to galactic consciousness. It's like taking candy from a baby until the baby starts to grow up and understand it's not on an island all in and of itself. And so anyway, that's what we're trying to do here when we're trying to learn these types of principles and trying to understand. And until we can see the full picture, the gift that has been given to us that people don't understand, but I'm going to beat it into myself and into you, is the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have done unto you. Listen, I understand it's a cliche. You think that until you realize, holy crap, that's right. When we say things like activate the heart chakra, the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. It is not a cute little thing you draw. It is not this. It is not whatever else. It's not any of these. It's not that. It is a very powerful tool that when activated, it creates a unified chakric field. What can get in there? Right? When you're in a state of love, your frequency is very high. And so the way that we feed that and we build upon that is that we practice energies that lead into that. And that's why the virtues are so important. And unfortunately, we live in a world where that has been decried and you know, these kinds of things have had to be sealed and hermetically sealed and this and that because people laugh at it, because they've been trained to laugh at it. Because what a better way to imprison people or keep people out of looking somewhere than to deride it and then to make them feel bad about themselves and feel like a clown if they go to take a look at it, right? So anyway, long story short, your takeaway today in all this crazy narrative style, which I wasn't going to, I would love to just present it in a more organized way. But anyway, we're just bringing it out. And that's me surrendering. That's my surrender as a Virgo rising, surrendering to just letting it go as it comes, because you and your guides will make sense of it the way that it needs to be. So divine heart, activate the heart chakra, practice your golden rule, practice your virtues. Stay away from devices, okay? We'll cover all that in another time, but just trust me. And get into the energy clearing, the energy shielding. I've given you a technique in a long drawn out way of how to do it. Literally, that technique takes about 2 minutes, but I told you forever, right? And even then I gave you an example of my own, how I do it, that takes me 2 minutes. I take a little longer because I like the sensation of being in those bubbles because I can actually feel the energy. I feel it, right? So it's really nice. It's bubbling up. And sometimes I put a lot of pink, compassionate energy if I'm having a rough day inside of my shield. So I'm just bouncing around in there with love and comfort and warmth, right? So these are things you can do for yourself. And the third thing is the 2 Steve Nobel quadruple grid techniques, one for the personal, the other for the spatial, and then the 12D shielding technique, which I will also include in the links because that's covered by different people. But there's a person that does a guided meditation for about 7 minutes with that, and I actually really enjoy the way she does it. Please know that you don't have to do a guided meditation. Go to the meditation, listen to it, learn it with her or whatever, and then you remember it yourself and just do it, okay? Anyway, peace out. If you'd like to work with me more personally, you know exactly where to find me. But until then, we're going to go, and God bless you, and have a wonderful day. Bye.